Have you ever had a moment when your entire life changed in an instant? When a single conversation altered everything you thought you knew? This is that story, one that will leave you questioning fate, family, and the incredible connections that bind us together. If this story touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing true stories that remind us of our shared humanity. The boardroom fell silent as CEO Marcus Winters stared at the photo on Robert Chen's desk. It was supposed to be a routine meeting, Robert's first performance review since joining Horizon Technologies 6 months ago. But now, Marcus couldn't tear his eyes away from the smiling face of the little girl in the silver frame. "Why does your daughter look like me?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Robert's hands trembled slightly as he reached for the frame. He'd placed it there his first day, a reminder of why he worked so hard. 8-year-old Lily with her infectious smile and curious eyes, his entire world. "Sir?" Robert asked, confusion evident in his voice. Marcus picked up the frame, studying the child's face more closely. The same almond-shaped eyes. The same dimple on the right cheek. Even the way her smile tilted slightly to the left, it was like looking at his own childhood photos. "This is impossible," Marcus muttered, more to himself than to Robert. Robert shifted uncomfortably in his chair. He'd worked tirelessly to impress Marcus since joining the company. As a single father, this job meant everything: stability, healthcare for Lily, a future. Now his boss was fixated on his daughter's photo, asking strange questions. "Mr. Winters, is everything all right?" Robert finally asked. Marcus looked up, his expression unreadable. "How old is she?" 8, Robert replied. "Her name is Lily." "And her mother?" Robert hesitated. This wasn't a conversation he'd expected to have with his CEO. "She's not in the picture. Hasn't been since Lily was born." Marcus set the frame down carefully. "I need you to tell me about her mother. Everything you know." The performance review forgotten, Robert found himself sharing the story he rarely told anyone. How he'd met Maylin at a charity event in San Francisco nearly 9 years ago. Their whirlwind romance. Her unexpected pregnancy. And then, her devastating confession that she was already married to a powerful businessman in China. "She left right after Lily was born," Robert explained. "Said her husband could never know. She signed away all parental rights and disappeared back to China. I've raised Lily alone ever since." Marcus's face had grown increasingly pale as Robert spoke. When Robert finished, Marcus stood abruptly and walked to the window, his back to the room. "8 years ago, my wife and I were separated for 6 months, Marcus said, his voice strained. "She was in China, handling her family's business interests. When she returned, we reconciled. We never spoke of that time apart again." Robert felt a chill run through him. "Sir, what are you suggesting?" Marcus turned, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I think your daughter might be my biological child." The DNA test results arrived 3 weeks later. Robert had barely slept, consumed by fear that he might lose Lily, the center of his universe. Marcus had been equally tormented, torn between the shocking possibility of an unknown child and his loyalty to his wife, Maylin. Yes, the same Maylin who had briefly entered Robert's life all those years ago. The email notification chimed on both their phones simultaneously. They'd agreed to open the results together in Marcus's private office. Robert's hands shook so badly he could barely tap the screen. 99.9% probability of paternity, Marcus read aloud, his voice hollow. Robert collapsed into a chair, the room spinning around him. "What happens now?" he whispered. Marcus sat heavily in his own chair. "I don't know." The silence between them stretched, filled with unasked questions and unspoken fears. "She's my daughter," Robert finally said, his voice breaking. "Biology aside, I've been there for every skinned knee, every nightmare, every school play. I'm the one who taught her to ride a bike and read her bedtime stories. I can't lose her. Marcus studied Robert's face. I would never take her from you. Then what do you want? Marcus looked at the photo of Lily again. I just want to know her. Somehow. Telling Maylin was even harder than Marcus had anticipated. The confession of her brief affair with Robert, a man who now worked for their company, and the existence of a child she'd hidden from everyone, shattered the carefully constructed peace of their marriage. I never meant to hurt you, Maylin sobbed. My family would have disowned me. The scandal would have destroyed everything. You let me believe we couldn't have children, Marcus said, the betrayal evident in his voice. For years, they'd tried unsuccessfully to conceive, enduring fertility treatments and crushing disappointments. I was afraid, she admitted. Afraid you would leave me if you knew I'd had a child with someone else. Marcus walked out that night, checking into a hotel where he stared at the ceiling until dawn, wondering how his life had imploded so completely. Robert sat Lily down on their worn living room sofa, struggling to find the right words. Remember how I've always told you that families come in all different shapes and sizes, he began. Lily nodded, her eyes, so like Marcus's, watching him curiously. Well, I just found out that you have another dad. A biological father. Lily's brow furrowed. Like how plants have seeds? Robert smiled despite himself. Something like that. Your mother, she knew this man before she knew me. And he didn't know about you until now. Is he nice? Lily asked, with the straightforward practicality of children. Robert thought about Marcus, how he could have wielded his power and wealth to take Lily away, but instead had promised to respect Robert's role in her life. Yes, Robert said softly. I think he is. The first meeting between Marcus and Lily took place at a neutral location, a park with a playground where Lily could feel comfortable. Robert watched nervously as his daughter approached the man who shared her DNA. You look like me, Lily said matter-of-factly, studying Marcus's face. Marcus knelt down to her level. I was thinking the same thing about you. Dad says you're my biological father. That means you helped make me, but Dad raised me. Marcus nodded, swallowing hard. That's right. Do you like ice cream? Lily asked, abruptly changing the subject in the way only children can. Marcus laughed, tension breaking. Chocolate's my favorite. Mine too. Lily exclaimed, her face lighting up. Robert watched them from a distance, his heart both breaking and healing simultaneously. The way Lily gestured with her hands when she talked, exactly like Marcus. The same laugh. It was undeniable. Over the following months, a fragile new normal emerged. Marcus and Maylin separated, their marriage unable to recover from the weight of secrets and betrayal. Robert kept his job at Horizon, Marcus insisting that his position was earned on merit alone. And Lily, resilient, wonderful Lily, embraced having two fathers with the adaptability of childhood. She spent most of her time with Robert in the small apartment they'd always shared, but weekend visits with Marcus became part of their routine. Marcus never tried to replace Robert. Instead, he carved out his own relationship with Lily, discovering shared interests in astronomy and classical music that Robert had never been able to nurture. For Robert, watching Lily's world expand was both painful and beautiful. The resources Marcus could provide, educational opportunities, travel experiences, cultural exposures, were things Robert had always wished he could give her. You're not losing her, Marcus assured him one evening as they awkwardly transferred Lily's overnight bag. You're giving her more love, more support, more family. Robert nodded, not trusting himself to speak. 6 months after the DNA test, Robert arrived home to find an envelope in his mailbox. Inside was a deed to a house, a modest but beautiful 3-bedroom in a good school district, just 10 minutes from Marcus's home. A note was attached, not a handout. An investment in our daughter's future. The mortgage is in your name. M. Robert's first instinct was to refuse. His pride rebelled against accepting such a gift. But when he picked Lily up from school that afternoon and saw her struggling with her backpack, violin case, and science project, he reconsidered. Their one-bedroom apartment had served them well, but Lily deserved space to grow. That night, he called Marcus. "Thank you," he said simply. "For Lily. She deserves the best of both of us," Marcus replied. The true test came a year later when Maylin returned, having completed intensive therapy and personal reflection. She wanted to meet Lily, the daughter she had abandoned at birth. Robert was vehemently opposed. "She gave up her rights. She doesn't get to waltz back in now." Marcus, surprisingly, agreed with Robert. "It has to be Lily's choice. And only if you're comfortable with it." They decided to let Lily decide when she was older. For now, they would continue building their unconventional family, two fathers devoted to one little girl. On Lily's 10th birthday, they threw a party at Robert's house, now a warm home filled with Lily's artwork and science fair trophies. Marcus arrived early to help set up, bringing a telescope as a gift, one they had picked out together. As the party wound down, Lily opened her final present, a photo album from Robert. Inside were pictures of her growing up, but with a surprise at the end, recent photos including Marcus, carefully labeled family. Lily looked up at both men, her eyes shining. "I have the best dads ever," she declared. Later, as they cleaned up wrapping paper and cake plates, Marcus turned to Robert. "I've been meaning to tell you," he said hesitantly. "The board is expanding our operations overseas. They want me to head the new division." Robert felt a familiar fear clutch at his heart. "You're leaving?" "I turned it down," Marcus replied. "Some things are more important than career advancement." Robert stared at him in surprise. "But that's the opportunity of a lifetime." "No," Marcus said, watching Lily showing her new telescope to a friend. "That is." 3 years later, Lily stood nervously backstage at the regional science competition. Her project on gravitational waves had advanced to the finals, and both her fathers sat in the audience. "What if I mess up?" she whispered to Robert as he straightened her collar. "Then you'll learn something for next time," he assured her. Marcus appeared with a bottle of water. "Remember, it's not about winning. It's about asking good questions," Lily finished, rolling her eyes good-naturedly. "You guys say the same things now. It's weird." The men exchanged amused glances. It was true, after 5 years of co-parenting, they had developed an unlikely friendship, their different perspectives and strengths complementing each other in raising Lily. When Lily's name was called as the winner, 2 distinct cheers rose from the audience, Robert's enthusiastic whoop and Marcus's dignified applause. Lily beamed at them both from the stage. On a crisp autumn evening, as Lily worked on homework at the kitchen table, Robert found himself looking through old photos. He paused at one taken shortly after Lily's birth, him holding his newborn daughter, exhausted but radiantly happy. "I was so scared," he murmured. "Of what?" Lily asked, looking up from her textbook. "Of doing it all alone. Of not being enough for you." Lily abandoned her homework to sit beside him. "But you weren't alone." "Not really." Robert looked at her questioningly. "You had me," she said simply. "And now we have Marcus too. Different kinds of not alone, but still not alone." Robert hugged her, marveling at her wisdom. "When did you get so smart?" "Must be genetic," she quipped, returning to her homework. Robert smiled, thinking of the journey that had brought them here. The day Marcus had asked that fateful question, "Why does your daughter look like me?" had seemed like the end of everything. Instead, it had been a beginning. His answer then had been simple, "Because she's my daughter." Now, years later, his answer would be different, "Because she's our daughter." And that had changed everything. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Life's most beautiful moments often come from its biggest challenges, and sharing these stories reminds us that we're never truly alone in our journeys. What unexpected connections have changed your life? Share in the comments below, *.